Potatoes to tomatoes and all in between. Everything's so tasty and I'm an eating machine. I go from place to place, stuffed in my little face. Once I'm done, I'll let you know how it tastes. I'm the fat food critic. Guess you never seen a girl like this before. The fat food critic, come experience the eateries I explore. The fat food critic, oh, when I put my fork down, I'll let you know what's in store. If you love food like I do, my reviews will keep you hungry and wanting more.
Hey, sorry, I was having a little technical difficulties.
It's okay. So now we can start. Yay. Hey, Fibers. Today, my table is reserved for Chef Ashley. Woo!
Hello. How are you all doing tonight?
Yeah. So, now let's get the interview started.
All right. Yes.
So, my first question is, what age did you begin cooking?
Well, I guess that depends on what you mean by actual cooking. If you count an easy bake oven, then I guess I would say around 10. I always would be in the kitchen. Oh, go ahead, say that one more time.
I'm going to count that because I have an easy bake oven.
Okay, yes, it counts. I remember going to the store and looking for a 100-watt light bulb because you had to get one that was super hot. And I remember we couldn't find it at, I think we went to Home Depot and then we had to go to Walmart and they had it. So I was super excited about that to be able to make my first, I think I made cookies, at first sugar cookies.
Yeah, the first time I did my easy bake oven, I made chocolate chip cookies and they looked like weird blob messes, but they were good.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of one of the downfalls of having an easy bake oven is the dough that they have isn't really quite sectioned off very well, but it still tastes pretty good. So
Yeah, it still tastes good. The chocolate was good.
yeah.
Yeah, speaking of chocolate chip cookies, for most people, they love eating them all the time, and it's like their comfort meal. So what's your favorite comfort meal?
Well, my comfort meal is kind of not really a meal. I love ice cream. I don't know if that counts,
Yeah,
but
I love
reg
it.
yeah, regardless of what time of year it is, I don't mind getting ice cream. I just wrap up under a blanket and call it a day. So that's kind of what makes me feel good.
Yes, my mom loves sprinkles. Just a whole lot
Yeah.
of sprinkles on ice cream. My favorite
Yeah.
vanilla bean or just straight vanilla?
I like vanilla a little better.
So speaking of how like ice cream makes you feel, it makes you feel all warm inside. How does cooking in general make you feel?
Well, for me, cooking is kind of an expression of how I can help others. What kind of really got me into cooking was that I like to eat, like most people. And few years ago, when I got married, I kind of went a little forward into it and really thinking about how can I make this easier and how can I make it faster and more efficient. My husband is a diabetic, and at the time, he was a very picky eater, so I wasn't really sure, and he's on right now as well. But he was a very picky eater, and so I was really worried about what I could feed him because with his dietary restrictions. And so that's something that just kind of pushed me a little forward to see, okay, how can I make this more efficient, make it faster, and still make things that taste great? So,
Oh, yeah. Speaking of like rushing fast, this is just a random out of the show question. Is
okay.
stranded on a desert island, what 5 foods would you bring with you?
Okay, definitely ice cream, number one choice.
Yeah.
And peanut butter, because I actually like peanut butter more than I like chocolate.
Oh,
Salad. I also like salad. I've been eating salad since I was 2, so I know that's kind of a weird combination.
it's okay.
Um,
My mom makes salad when we go to restaurants. I'm always like, Mom, you're gonna get the salad? And she's like, yeah.
yeah, I actually started eating them around 2. Like we used to go to Red Lobster a lot,
Oh,
and
there's biscuits.
yes, and that's another weird food combination story. I used to put applesauce on their biscuits. You should try it if you get a chance.
I,
It tastes good, I
I'm
promise.
But if I wasn't, I would definitely.
Okay, well, yes, let's see. Maybe you could do a different kind of mixture, but so yes, I would always order the salad at Red Lobster, and I would just be content for a few years. But oh, hey Denise and Krista, thanks for joining. Okay, so salad, peanut butter, ice cream,
Yeah,
probably chicken. I eat that pretty often.
yeah, I love chicken.
And this is tough. The only foods I'm going to eat for the rest of my life on a desert island. Maybe bread. I
I
like bread.
It's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
A weird food combination for me is like it's toast, but my mom doesn't have a toaster, so I would just put butter on bread and just eat it like that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common for younger kids. I think my husband used to make butter sandwiches when he was growing up as well.
One piece of bread, one piece of butter, and that would be my snack.
Yeah, I think you might grow out of that, but for now, I think that's a pretty common kid food combination.
Yeah, since I'm not allowed to cook on the stove, that's just like what I used to eat.
Yeah, keeping it safe. That's a good idea.
Like what I've had on my lunch sandwiches for like the past while has been brioche bread, and it's like sweet but savory, and it's really good.
Yeah, that's a really good quality of bread, especially for lunch. The other kids are probably a little jealous as well.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I want some bread. So now my next question is, speaking of like Red Lobster and all the different restaurants that you would just randomly go to go get something to eat, where do you go to when you want to eat at a restaurant? Like your main restaurant that you'd go to?
That's kind of hard. I like to mix it up. I don't like to go to the same restaurants all the time.
Yeah.
So
My food critiquing, I've been going to so many different restaurants. I can't choose like pick one.
Right. I mean, I do go to Chick-fil-A pretty often, probably about once a week if I want something fast. But I also like it's not a national chain, but we have it in Georgia, and it's called Mary Mac's Tea Room. It's a historical place where a lot of the civil rights leaders have had their meetings in the past. So if I'm downtown, I like to go there. But I'm really open to trying different places and testing out different things like you.
Yeah, like trying out a whole lot of different things. The sad thing is I can't have Chick-fil-A because they cook their food in peanut oil. I can only fry.
Yeah, the same thing for my nephews. They're allergic to peanuts, so they can't have it either.
That's sad. They know what everyone at school is like, oh, it's so sad you can't have anything.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something you grow out of. They've actually grown out a few of their allergies. So as you get older, your body might change. So.
Yeah, milk allergy isn't as worse as it used to be. But then I developed an apple and banana allergy from my peanut allergy, which is weird.
Yeah, that actually, my brother, the apple peel, it makes his gums itch. And he's had that for a while. I'm not sure if he's checked again to see if he's grown out of it.
Oh, yeah. I used to love apples, though. My mom would have a huge bowl of them right in the living room.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a pretty good fruit to have on hand.
But the weird thing about bananas is I used to, like, stay away from plantains and bananas because they were, like, But when I was doing some research, because my mom had some plantains in the house, and she wanted to make some fried plantains, she said, could I have them or not? Did some research. Turns out I can. Because it turns out when you cook food, like your allergy reaction like gets less of a reaction. And it said that plantains are more starchy than bananas, and most of the time you would cook them instead of like banana, you would eat it raw, so therefore I can have it.
Yeah, raw plantains are kind of hard to digest and kind of hard to eat. So yeah, and those are also one of my favorites as well. So that's good. You can enjoy those.
The plantains were really good though.
Yeah.
And so my next question is, what might surprise people about you? What might surprise people about you?
In terms of cooking or just in general?
In general.
Okay. Well, growing up, I've always had a really outgoing personality. I'm usually in the middle of a large group of people talking with them, but um, doing lives like this are actually pretty terrifying for me because I think I respond to people's interactions and people's faces and things like that. So when it's just me behind the camera, I get nervous, I run out of things to say, and so I'm trying to kind of force myself to do more of those so I can get better at them.
Yeah, that's what happens with me sometimes when I first started doing my YouTube videos, except for I didn't do them like live with my phone.
Hmm.
My mom had her camera and she just recorded me. She left me sitting there in the basement just
Hmm.
recording because I had this
Yeah,
looking at her while I'm doing stuff.
right. Yeah, and you're like, help me, save me. But yeah, I'm sure that's definitely helped you out though.
Yep, it has just a little bit. And so, what's your favorite ingredient to cook with?
Okay, I'm gonna go with smoked paprika.
Ooh,
And it's something I found about a year or two ago. And I had always known about regular paprika, but I can't remember if I was just in the grocery store and I happened to see it or if somebody recommended it to me. But the way that it's created is that the peppers that are used in paprika are actually they're smoked in a smoker, so that way they have that kind of not cookout taste, but it amplifies the taste of it a little bit, and it adds an extra punch to it
uh,
without being overwhelming. So.
okay. I don't know if I tried that or not because most things my mom just gives it to me is like here.
Hmm.
Maybe I have tried it and I loved it.
It's definitely something you should try out.
And so, speaking of smoked paprika, maybe like a chef that you admire. Because my next question is, what chef do you admire the most? So maybe they've used it,
Mm.
something. That's how you got it.
Okay. That's kind of a tough question. I'm kind of going to cheat here, and I'm going to say multiple chefs. One thing that people ask me is, did I go to culinary school? And I say no, because I didn't. But I also think about all the great chefs that are in my family, like my mom, my grandma, my aunts, and things like that, that even though they weren't classically trained in the traditional sense, they still were able to create awesome Thanksgiving meals, awesome meals during the day. And
Yeah, I love
so,
my grandma and my grandfather cooks for me.
yeah, and I mean, and it might be part of it that it's your family and it makes you feel good, but I'd say them out of anybody else.
Yeah. So my next question, my next question is like, speaking of everyone cooking for you on like Thanksgiving, what's your favorite food memory? My mom answered this question before, and
Hmm.
like she loves Mr. Softy and she loves ice cream. So she was like, every summer where she used to go to her dad's house in New Jersey, she
Hmm.
loved getting Softy, and that was like her favorite, hands down favorite food memory ever.
Hmm.
I agree with her. Mr. Softy's amazing.
Let's have a lot of food memories. This might be a bit of a challenge. Um, I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick
Tell me what
one.
your favorite food memory is, and do you love ice cream?
I was gonna go with the ice cream food memory but that seemed a little too easy. My
Yeah.
husband typed in the comments insomnia. That is a good food memory. But I think I'm going to say when one time a few years ago, I want to say 2 years ago, we went to Hawaii
Ooh,
and
I'm gonna go to
um,
Hawaii sometime.
yes, they have awesome food. And okay, it is going to be ice cream, but slightly different. So we found a place that does a combination of gelato and ice cream, which sounds kind of crazy.
Amazing.
Right. But it was like the smoothest, creamiest. They had like 36 flavors,
What?
and they also had flavored ice cream cones. And one of my sorority sisters says Brewsters. I do love some Brewsters. Yes, I agree. But yeah, and I think that I mean we had just had a really nice dinner. We watched the sunset, things like that, and so it was just like the perfect ending to the meal.
I think one of my YouTube videos that I did, we went to a gelato place and it was totally amazing. They had so many favorite flavors, but it's sad because I can barely remember anything about it.
Yeah. And then that's the thing. Like, I'm never going to go. Well, not never. I can't say never, but I probably won't go back to that place for a couple years since it's so far away. But
Yeah. Do you remember what place it is? So I know when I go to Hawaii, because I think we're going like April or something. For like spring.
do you know what island you're going on?
No.
No.
Honolulu.
Okay. Honolulu. Okay, it's on Maui instead of Honolulu, so it's like a 10-minute airplane flight. I'm not sure how much the flight would be or if it's worth it, but it's called the Ice Cream Company, and they're on Instagram if you want to check them out. I can tag you on it too.
I want to just see pictures. It sounds
Yeah, it was really good, and I haven't ever seen another place like that that did the combination of the ice cream and the gelato, so I thought that was pretty unique.
Ooh, cool. So are there any foods that you just don't like? Because me, even though I love beans, I do not like lima beans or black-eyed peas. I like black-eyed peas better than but I just, I know lima beans.
Right. I'm going to agree with you on the black-eyed peas. I've had them before growing up, and I just feel like they're a waste of time, so I don't eat them. And then also mushrooms. I think it's the texture of it. Like growing up, I didn't eat broccoli, I didn't eat yogurt, I didn't eat bananas, all just because of the texture. And I eat those things now. Well, not yogurt. I still can't do the yogurt. But I eat broccoli and bananas. But mushrooms, I think it's the fact that they're like squishy yet still firm, so it kind of weirds me out. But I do cook with them, but I just try to pick them out, which is not a very adult thing to do.
My mom's totally favorite vegetable is broccoli, so I've just grown up loving broccoli. And
yeah,
I not like mushrooms. They were just like, eh. I was like, only time I'll sort of eat them is when they're like in pizza or spaghetti. But then again, I just totally avoided them when they were in pizza or spaghetti. And now sometimes I just don't eat them all the time. Like, they could be good, but it's one my mom loves, but it's like, eh.
Yeah, like my mom loves mushrooms, so I'll try to cook with them sometimes. But I don't know what it is about them. And I think with broccoli, the texture of it, it just feels like a little tree, which sounds really silly. But I didn't like how that felt, but I love it now. So
yeah, that's why I don't like seriously watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, anything in that sort of like group of family. I cannot do. It's just too soft. Like, I love croutons and I love like bread and all this crunchy stuff, but it's just too soft for me.
Oh, honeydew's my favorite fruit. I do love that. So cantaloupe I can do without, but I'll eat it if it's there.
Yeah, the only one of those that I would eat is like the golden watermelon because it's like sweeter. So I'll eat some of it, but I still just eat that.
Yeah.
And so everyone who's in the comments, tell me what your favorite food is and what foods you don't like. And if you agree with me and Chef Ashley that you don't like black, because my mom's like, what?
Yeah, we have Kevin who agrees with us, and then Shanita thinks black-eyed peas are yummy, which we can make some and send them your way, but I don't think we'll still pass on those.
Yeah, and speaking of all the foods that you like don't like, what was your worst meal that you seriously ever had? I know
this is a tough
meal that I haven't at least enjoyed in the slightest. So that's like very hard for me.
Let me think about that.
Deep into my memory.
I see Shanita says she doesn't like okra. I don't like that either, so I agree with you. I don't know. My worst meal ever. Probably where my meal was not prepared correctly. Since I have not particular taste, but usually when I order something off a menu, I'll change a few things. And my father-in-law always makes fun of me because by the time I change it, it's totally different than whatever it was on the menu. So he's kind of like, you might as well just make your own. So probably a situation where my meal just wasn't made the correct way that I asked for it. maybe some ingredients were included that I didn't like or things like that, which you do have to be careful of because sometimes people are allergic. Luckily, I'm not, but
Yeah, I know. There's one thing, I can't say that it was bad, but we went to, I think it was like Burger King or something, or Wendy's. It was one, too. And I asked for a gingerbread cheeseburger because I like bacon cheeseburgers. And they
they're
got
pretty good
bacon in it. And we were like, how do you forget the bacon? That's the whole point of the burger.
Right. I'm sure you paid extra for that bacon as well.
So that was like one mess up that I didn't like, but I still enjoyed the burger. It was still good. Yeah. And so is there anything that you want to tell all the fivers? The whole interview.
Just thanks for tuning in. And if they have any questions, one of my specialties is that I focus on making mealtime easier and simpler. So that includes things like meal planning or meal prepping. And sometimes people get those two confused. So meal planning is where you basically decide what you're going to eat ahead of time and maybe choose what days that are best for cooking or what days are best where you want to go eat out. And then the prepping part is where you actually prepare things ahead of time. So I guess if you all have any questions, any tips or tricks that you might want to know to help simplify mealtime, then I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah. Yes, I love shrimps too. Shrimps.
I do too. Oh, and then Kevin said chitlins. I can't do chitlins either. I've never had them.
I've heard people talk about them. Some of them said they were good. Others say they're horrible. So I don't know.
Yeah, my granddad used to own a restaurant before he passed away, and I remember this was up in Maryland, actually, where you are, in Capitol Heights. And I remember walking through the kitchen of the restaurant, and I just smelled something. I was like, "What is that?" And they told me it was chitlins, and I think I vowed to never try them again. But I mean, I guess if it's presented the right way and it smells better, then I might give it a try.
Yeah, probably the only way I would somewhat try it is if someone gives it to me and I have no idea what it is or what it looks like. Because once me and mommy were on a cruise and we were like, she said, "You want some escargot?" And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And she was like, and I was like, okay. And then it had to be good. Then I found out, I was like, wait, I just ate a snail.
Yeah. And so that is one thing, to be open-minded about what you're eating and not just assume that it's not that great. I see that in the comment, Shanita said, and hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. She asked if the restaurant's still there. It's not. We actually sold it to another family, so it's not still owned by us.
So now I have some announcements for everyone who's watching. I will have a new blog post up tomorrow at lunchtime. And I forget which restaurant it is, but yeah, it'll be up. So check my social media for all that. And my next guest will be revealed on Thursday. So check on my social media for that. And if you... It's time for dinner. Gotta go, guys. My mom's homemade chicken noodle soup, and I haven't had chicken noodle soup in forever. And I absolutely love it. And so one thing before I go, all my interviews that I've done so far will be on my YouTube channel. Search up the 5 Foot Critic on YouTube and you'll find, if you missed the last one from last week, and the replay of this one this week. Bye, Fivers!
Bye, thanks!